This one's talking about for most your jigging with any bait. Do you use just minnow heads? Do you use the full grub? Do you use a full minnow? And I'm going to kind of tie that into with the Tikka minnow. The Tikka minnow question was, do you tip it with bait? So double face question. I know, Matt, you got a Tikka minnow in front of you, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was tempted to eat it just here on camera. I fish it without bait a lot of times, and I'm generally not a big bait angler. I'm using plastics if I'm pan fishing, or silkies and Tikka minnows and spoons if I'm walleye fishing. And this type of bait, I think, can get that impulse strike. You can work it in a manner to where walleyes want to come in and they want to crush it. Now I'm not saying you're not going to have those days where, your Vexilar is your mood indicator. When a fish comes up and they stop and put the brakes on and you watch that mark change, you may have to entice them with a piece of meat. But I'm always starting any application, whether it's a Tikka minnow, a spoon, a plastic for a panfish, without bait. And I'm trying to get that aggressive fish out of the school, and then I let how that school dictate the bite future. So I'd say I'm usually fishing it without bait, getting after it. I'm pretty aggressive on how I fish. I want that active fish out of the school, and then I see what the fish do from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're at as far as when you're looking for fish, for example. You're just trying to cover a lot of water. Not only are you making moves to cover that water, but you're also fishing so that you can cover water by pulling fish into you from further away. Okay, and so a lot of times when I'm looking for fish, I'm fishing aggressively, not just with my rod cadence as far as the stroke, but also going from hole to hole, spacing my holes apart. And I just want to find signs of life. I want to mark fish. I want something to stop me or slow me down. And what I find is when I'm the first person on those spots, when you're looking for fish and you're fishing new water, and you're the first people, first auger to drill over the top of those fish, you're going to get a few fish that meet you halfway that are just going to make you look good no matter what you do. Okay. And when you can fish aggressively, say when you can rip that lure and then rip it again, and then a fish shows up, and then bring it up 6 inches and bring it up another 6 inches, and by the time it gets to you, just boom, the rod tip just loads up. You don't need bait on that type of a bite. When you get that acceleration, you get that fish to rise in the water column. By the time they get to you, they're so wound up that they just eat it. Okay. Now, after you wear out your welcome, you catch those easy fish. You catch those fish that make you look good. Well, guess what? If you're going to stay in that same spot and pick over what's left, you might have to bob that treble hook. You might have to slow it down. You might get that fish to raise hard and then stall, and then you might get them 3 inches and they're nose to nose with it. And you know what? It's like, I can't catch fish on a slip bobber without live bait, right? In the summer, we all know that gulp works. We all know that soft plastics work or whatever. But if I were to take a gulp crawler and put it on a slip bobber and let it sit there, I wouldn't have very good confidence. Okay, mm-hmm. So that's the way to think about it, is when you have to get more passive, more subtle because of those fish that aren't wound up, that's when the bait stuff starts taking over. So it's a progression. You start out maybe no bait, you catch those fish, or you find the fish with no bait by fishing that way, and then you wear out your welcome, and then to catch a few more, you might have to have a minnow head. And guess what? You get to where you can't get fish to lift on that anymore, and pretty soon you're getting some on a dead stick. And so that's kind of the progression, the spectrum from aggressive to passive, if that makes any sense.